Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. This is episode 64. I'm your host, Brian Rowan, with co-host tonight, Tyler McLeese. Tyler, welcome.
Brian, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, great to have you on. And tonight's guest is 2021 graduate Bobby Held. So we're welcoming Bobby to the show. Bobby was as I said, 2021 USMA grad, team captain, EIWA finalist. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is I was kind of last minute. I was thinking about like, who should we have on this week? You know, last week we did Coach Ward and had Colonel Gist on right before that. So I was like, okay, let's have somebody more close to present time, especially because, you know, we didn't want to do another Ward update, but you were at the Penn State match, you know, so talk a little bit.
I kind of feel like you wanted to have Bobby on because you want to talk some trash about Penn State and you don't want Ward on the podcast to push you around.
See how it is.
Start getting spicy. So
no, I mean, I was at the match and you know, after the match, we ran into the coaches out at a restaurant, and you know, some words were said. I got a text the next morning, and Coach Ward's like, "We need to have an emergency BHAW session to kind of go through your emotional reaction to the duel." But yeah, I said what I said. You know, it was definitely an overreaction. I can admit that now.
A little bit.
But there were some true things said too.
Yeah, we'll give Coach Ward a week to cool off before you bring him back on. By then,
I think we have a couple potential wrestling matches. I think, right, Bureau? After that conversation, didn't we set up a couple wrestling matches?
Yeah, I'm wrestling Coach D'Angelo for sure.
Oh, I thought it was you and Coach Ward.
Oh shoot, yeah, I'll wrestle him too. We put it out like when we initially talked about it, I think we talked about it on an episode that he said I couldn't get one takedown in 20 minutes. And I was like,
that is what he said. That is what he said.
But then he took it back and like he was like, "Oh, you think you can beat me?" And I was like, "Whoa, I didn't." You know, that was at the dinner. And I was like, "Whoa!" Yeah. I was like, "This is like a 180 from the different stakes of claim." But enough about me on this episode. This is about you, Bobby, and Tyler too. I invited Tyler on because I get, for the listeners out there, I probably during Army wrestling meets, there's a group text with Tyler and Logan Everett. And I'll look down at my phone and there'll be like 214 text messages in the past 30 minutes from those two. They're just rapid fire. So I was like, I need to get Tyler on. He's abreast of everything that's going on. He's keeping, and he's, closer to, your age group than I am. So he relates a little bit more to the younger crowd.
And he's a fellow heavyweight too, don't forget.
That's right. I am a former heavyweight alumni.
That's right.
So, Bobby, where are you at right now? You in Highland Falls? Where's your house at?
I am in Cornwall, New York, about 15 minutes from West Point at my apartment.
Awesome. So, life, you're an AI now. Life is an AI. Does Coach Ward keep you busy? Are you practicing every day? What's the deal?
Yeah, definitely keeps me busy. I'm definitely enjoying it. We got 5 other wrestlers here too, or 4 other wrestlers, I should say, who stayed back as AI. So we're having a good time. It's nice to kind of hang back and just kind of try and give back to the program that obviously gave me, incredible opportunities and everything. It kind of made me who I am. So it's nice to be on the other side now, kind of giving back, helping out the team in any way I can. I'm still wrestling pretty much every day with the guys. Whenever someone needs a partner, I'll hop in, and working a lot with the heavyweights and even the 97-pounders sometimes, and kind of filling in and just helping work out with the guys, get them ready to go for competition.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have a bunch of heavyweights now, and watching Journeymen, it looks like you guys got a pretty athletic group of heavyweights.
Yeah, for sure. We've always had, at least in my time, a good number of heavyweights. I remember freshman, sophomore, like all the way through my senior year, we'd have like, I think at 1.7 or 8 heavyweights, at least 6 every year. Now we have 5. A good group, definitely, like you said, athletic group. They can move, which I like, because that's kind of how I used to try and wrestle. So we got, some big bodies too, but we also have some guys who can move their feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's come a long way since Tyler McLeese was wrestling heavyweight. I'll say that. So you guys look a lot better now.
So I had the first topic on here. We're going to talk about your mustache. It sounds like you got scared between the Penn State match and now you shaved it off. What's the deal?
Well, just I had to throw on the uniform a couple times, the life of an AI. So I thought this mustache looks too good to be true. I don't want to embarrass anyone, senior officers who have mustaches, or rocking mustaches. So I just shaved it off, kind of give everyone else a chance. So
That's
it
fair.
wasn't coming in super. It was like kind of like very like you. It seemed like you groomed it like very often. Like you probably mess with it every day. It wasn't like a hey once a week
Right.
like, grooming situation.
So what happened was all the AIs decided we were going to do no shave November, and I can grow a pretty nice beard, but that's obviously not an option. So they're like, we're gonna grow mustaches, and I think I had mine for a little over 2 weeks, and I caved. A lot of the guys did. I was actually one of the last ones standing with a mustache. So I made it there till the end, but I was like, I can't do this anymore. It just doesn't look good. So
I thought about it. I started a new job like right at the end of October, and I hadn't been into a lot of these like doctors' offices here. I couldn't just walk in with a mustache for the first time.
yeah, it's not a great look, especially at West Point. Whenever you got to take the mask off and run into some people, they look down on you if you're rocking a mustache. So
Shoot, I didn't even think about the mask. I wear a mask in these offices.
yeah, you're good to go unless you had to take it off.
Shoot, I didn't even think about that. Enough about mustaches though. Let's get your thoughts on the Penn State duel. I won't give too much of my thoughts. I'm going to leave this short and sweet to you. So, kind of your thoughts early on in the season on the guys. You're very close to the program in the room. What are your thoughts? Kind of sum up. AAR. A couple ups, couple downs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it pretty short too. I mean, first, I think we've had 3 competitions. So we went to East Stroudsburg, as you know, SI over there, Journeymen, and then Penn State. So I think we're looking good so far. We got a good group of young guys coming in, doing some damage right away. That was pretty evident at East Stroudsburg. We kind of sent, I think, around 20, 25 guys, just freshmen and sophomores mostly, just to get them some more experience. So they looked really good there. We transitioned over to Journeymen, where we took the whole team, or everyone who was healthy. And I thought we looked good at Journeyman too. Some ups, some downs, obviously, when you have 37 guys competing, big group. But it was a good tournament, good competition, and there's a lot we could take away from that. Rolled right into Penn State on the road. Obviously a top tier team for the last however many years, ever since I've been in college and even when I was in high school. So I think they're maybe ranked 2 right now nationally, 1, 2, or 3, something like that. So, we walked in there and, we fought hard, put up a good fight, won a couple matches. There were, I think, 3 or 4 matches that were definitely, looking back, we wish would have gone our way. There were some swing matches in there that were kind of a toss up going in, and we really wish we got some W's with those ones. And then you look at it like that, and you come away with a few of those swing matches, and you're looking at, we're right in the dual meet. So it's kind of, we left with a little bit of bitter taste in our mouth for sure. Like we left some things out there on the map, but at the same time, I think it's really good for these guys to get that kind of top-notch, top-tier experience, especially early on in the season. Kind of use it as like a measuring stick to where they're at. So I think it was a good experience for the guys. Just trying to move forward now and kind of carry over some good things we did, take some of the things we need to work on them, and then bring them over to Iowa State and try to get another big time dual meet on the road and get a win this time.
Yeah. So going back to Penn State a little bit, that easily could have been a five win Army, 5 win Penn State, and then coming down to bonus points in that duel. And it was really fun to watch, man, because I think Coach Ward had the team in a place that it wasn't just about the guys going out and being tough and fighting, but the guys looked like everyone, even the guys who were wrestling returning national champs, they went out there like they were planning on winning the match. which was cool to see. Like
Yep,
all the scrambles were tough. It wasn't just like even in some of the more lopsided matches, it wasn't just one guy from Penn State just totally manhandling an Army guy. It was still scrambling, still fun. Like, 133, that kid went out and competed, man. Like he was scrapping. And, you're wrestling probably the best neutral wrestler in the country right now. But I mean, hats off to him and the rest of the guys for going out there and just getting after it on the road at Penn State early in the season. It's exciting to be an Army wrestling fan.
Yeah, for sure. That's, you talk about 133. That's something I remember telling Dom as he came off the mat, like, you know what, you got out wrestled, a little bit outmatched, and you got to get better, but like we can live with that. He was, I mean, right till 6 minutes into the match, he was firing off shots. Like, really proud of him for the way he was competing out there, fighting hard. And now it's just like you go back and you realize the things that you need to work on, and competition's just brutally honest. So you just look at, hey, where am I at right now? Where do I stack up? And you go back to work and just take that and run with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, shifting from Coach Held to Bobby Held, kind of go to back to your senior year of high school, or whenever you started getting recruited from West Point, and kind of talk through what that process was like, and kind of what brought you to West Point, what made you interested, your recruiting trip, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I was actually planning on playing football for a long time in college. I'm from New Hampshire, so really small time wrestling. I didn't start wrestling until I was in 7th grade. When I got to middle school, so I played football since I was little, so I always thought I'd go on to the next level, play football, probably go to my state school, University of New Hampshire. My brother and sister went there. A lot of my friends went there, so it just kind of was comfortable for me, for sure. And I was pretty set to go there all the way, into my junior year and everything. And kind of late into the process, I went down to Virginia Beach, NHSCA Nationals, I believe, my junior year, just kind of on a whim, just decided to go down, like, hey, Dad, you want to go down, like, see if I can compete nationally? He's like, sure. He's probably thinking this is going to be ugly. We went down there and I did well. I was able to place, snuck in there. I think I took 8th. And then next thing you know, I got a couple letters, one from Coach Ward and from Army. So I kind of got the letter, and I didn't really know what West Point was, like a lot of kids, and kind of heard of Army or Army Navy, things like that. But yeah, I had no idea. I just thought it looked cool with the letterhead, Army wrestling and all that. And my dad was kind of like, hey, whether you want to do this or not, we should definitely go take a look. Like, this is pretty cool opportunity. So we did. I think it was like a few days after that, we kind of reached out and got back to him immediately and went and took a visit to West Point. And that's when I kind of just saw what it was all about. And I was pretty taken aback, awestruck at the whole thing. And I went back after that, like, oh, that was cool. But, I kind of slid back into like the comfort zone. It was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go play football and go to my state school and everything. And then I remember one night I was at dinner with the family, and Coach Brian Pearsall called me, took the call, like, stepped outside. He's like, hey man, like, we really want you to come. Would you be interested in taking an official visit, all that? So I did. It's like, all right, kind of opened that whole thing back up. And then I took an official visit my senior year with Parker Maytrot. Shout out to Parker Maytrot.
Yeah.
When was
awesome.
When was your recruiting visit? Like, was it a football game? Like, what was going on that weekend?
I honestly can't remember. There definitely wasn't a football game, but I do remember it was kind of late into the process. But yeah, Parker kind of took me around and I stayed with him, showed me like the guys, the team, like what West Point, what Army wrestling was like. And from there, I kind of just fell in love with it, honestly, and came back and was like, this is what I want to do for sure. So that one trip actually kind of changed my whole view on West Point. And I kind of went into it with some stigmas, like everyone do. Like, I don't think this is a place for me if I'm cut out for it. If the guys are normal, everything like that. And then you meet Parker and some of the guys. I'm like, okay, these guys are awesome.
I remember when I took a visit my senior year, and I was driving up with my dad, and I was like, do you think the coaches are going to be wearing their uniforms? Just like thinking the coaches are like in the Army. Like
Yeah.
you have no concepts for what the team, what the program's like, the people are like. And then, you know, just like you said, once you like meet the guys on the team and kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, it realizes it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, it's crazy like what you have in your head compared to reality. And once you get there, and then kind of like looking at now, I do a lot of the recruiting and stuff with the coaches and like touring around kids and their parents and picking them up from the airport and doing the whole deal with them. And it's crazy to me to be on the other side, and like funny watching all these kids and their parents come in with the same ideas, and like
just no idea what to expect.
No idea. And I just see myself like 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, you have no idea. So I just try to explain to them. But yeah, so that's kind of the process of,
sure it makes for
how
car rides from the airport.
What's that?
I'm sure it makes for interesting car rides, you know, for the, you know, when you're picking them up from the airport.
Absolutely.
You know, that, you know, hour and a half drive, you know, where you're just like, you probably have it on like autopilot of what you say and all the things you're doing now.
Yeah, I might have been like a little like that in the first go around, and now I've become a professional. So I got everything I want to say when
so
they get in the car.
Do you have all like the West Point history facts, like all that like memorized for when you take guys around? You know,
if we're gonna be honest, not really.
Just look it up on your phone, I guess.
I will say I have a lot more than I did as a cadet.
Yeah.
I'll give the credit to Coach Joe D'Angelo on that one. He's the history guy when we do the tours.
Yep.
So we'd go around and he'd say some stuff, like especially in the beginning when I first started as an AI. We started doing the recruiting tours, and he'd say stuff, and I'd be like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That was true about West Point, and I just went here for 5 years, so I've learned a lot. I could probably give a pretty decent tour on my own now. I'll say that.
So you make the decision to go to West Point. You know, a lot of listeners know your mom. She's super passionate, probably the biggest Army wrestling fan. When did she come on board? Did she influence your decision to go there?
Yep.
Be the kind of like, you know, kind of talked into it. A lot of moms, I feel like, all right, they have to get talked into it. You know, was she like a supporter from the start, or when did she get on?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. It's kind of funny, and this is something I tell the recruits, parents and moms too, especially because a lot of them are like how my mom was, and she was not on board at all at first. She was terrified, didn't know anything about West Point or Army. She was just like, I don't want you to be in the Army. Like, why do you have to go there? Why can't you just stay home? All that. So she was not on board. And I tell a lot of people this, including the recruits and their families, like, you should meet my mom now compared to when we first started the process. I'm like, she's turned into the biggest Army fan in the world. They have season football tickets still, and I'm not even a cadet anymore. And they come almost every football game and everything. So it's kind of funny to see how West Point's won her over too. Cause I remember one time we took a trip to West Point just because I think my parents and I went to New York City because I'd never been to the city my senior year. I can't remember when this was in terms of like along the lines of my visits. It might have been between visits or after my visit, because my mom didn't go on the visit at first. It was just me and my dad. So she went for the first time, and it might have been like during a break or something. So there was like no cadets there. It was gray. It was like empty and depressing. And we just kind of showed up because we were in New York City, and called Coach Ward, and he's like, oh, hey. And he just met us for a few minutes, and we walked around a little bit, and that was her first experience. And she cried the entire drive home from West Point after that. She's like, why do you want to go here? Like, oh, she was a mess. And like I said, now she's the biggest Army. She's like the face of Army wrestling moms, pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like a good recruiting tactic would be if there's any, like, Coach Ward talks to the parents or one of the coaches, or talks to the parents, just have your mom reach out to those parents, and that will seal the deal right there.
I'm not gonna say I haven't pulled that card already. A couple of times.
So Bob, what was the transition like for you from being a high school kid to your first experiences at West Point? Talk about like kind of that shock and awe that you get from our day and kind of how you integrated into being a cadet.
Yeah, so I went to prep school. So I graduated high school in 2016, and then I did a year of prep school. So
Shout out USMAPs.
shout out USMAPs.
For you.
We got 3 USMAPs guys here, 3 for 3. But yeah, so I went to USMAPs after high school, and that was definitely in terms of like the shock and awe and all that, that was a huge shock for me. I had no like military background, anything like that. So when I showed up, I was definitely a little bit shocked and like culture shock, and you go through the whole mini R day at prep school and the 3-week basic training. And I remember specifically the first night of CCVT, like laying in my bed after the little mini R day, like what did I just get myself into? I'm like, this is like the biggest mistake of my life, and there's nothing I can do about it right now. Which is funny looking back, because that's obviously, not the case, but I was just a little bit shook up probably from the whole deal experience. But once we started out the school year and all that kind of guest appearance.
Oh, Willie's got he's got.
Am I the only one here without a cat?
Yeah, I got 2 of them running around here.
Anyway,
Tyler.
What's that?
It doesn't help your brand.
Hey, well, I got him right before I deployed. Me and my fiance got engaged, bought a house, moved in. I deployed like 5 days later. So we got 2 cats to keep her occupied while I was gone. And now here I am, a cat guy. So but
big cat guy.
So Bob, going back to you, your plebe year wrestling season. I want to talk Army Navy, because you had that big tiebreaker 2 win against that at Navy, right? I'm talking about the right season.
Yep.
Yeah. So I followed that match. I was on a rotational deployment to Korea. I was there for 9 months. And while I was there, I was in a class on a Saturday morning. You guys wrestled Friday night, and I was following on Twitter. So thank God the team is so good about updating that Twitter account, because talk through, because the duel came down to your match. So talk through like that guy that you wrestled. Had you wrestled him previously in the year? Were you expecting it to be a close match? I know the duel went back and forth. Kind of talk through, like, build that moment where you had a pretty epic classic Army heavyweight win against Navy.
Yeah, for sure. So that, like you said, my plebe year, last duel of the year, we were at Navy. Freshman, like you said, in a classic heavyweight fashion, kind of came down to the last match. We were going back and forth, like you said. I know Harvey had that huge upset
win over Bernstein,
which is when we kind of momentum started to shift, or maybe Andrew Mendel before that. Forget the exact lineup, but huge momentum shift. And it was just kind of down to the wire, going back and forth. So it came down to my match at the end there. I wrestled Austin Fonts, I think his name was, and I had actually wrestled him twice earlier in the year. One at Cliff Keen out in Vegas, and one time out at All Academy Championships in South Carolina. So, and I lost both those matches by 1 or 2 points. So going in, I knew I was wrestling him. It was his senior night, big. The place, Alumni Hall, was packed with midshipmen. I don't know if they required them to go or not, but it was absolutely packed. I remember they had their cadets or their midshipmen like on the gym floor, like right next to our bench. Like they let them come all the way up to the edge of the mat. So, and they were rowdy and obnoxious. And yeah, I knew it was going to be a close match. The previous 2 were probably 3-2, 5-4 type matches. So, going in, I knew it was going to be a close one, but it was the scene was set. It was classic heavyweight fashion, coming down to the last match, coming down to a low scoring ultimate ride out tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker too,
So
right?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I looked it up today. That's how I know.
Okay. Yeah, you got it.
I
I've
looked it up
actually
before.
I've never seen the match. Like since I wrestled, I've never seen it, watched it. I don't even know where it is or if it exists. But yeah, from what I recall, it was a close match, maybe a couple flurries during the match, close takedowns, nothing was called, and just came down to nothing in overtime, just came down to ultimate rideouts. I went down first. No, he went down first. And I remember being able to get a left and return, kind of hold him down for those 30. And then I went down and was able to get my escape. So
It's awesome. It's very legendary picture after that of you running back to the bench and all excited. It was
yeah,
awesome.
no, it was a great moment for sure. It was good for the team. I had no idea we hadn't won there in like 50 years or something like that going in.
Yeah.
It's only the
Of course,
second time we've won there.
really, I didn't even know that.
The second time.
Maybe strategically, Coach Ward and all them didn't tell me that going into the match. But yeah, I had no idea until after. So it was a cool moment. My family was there, and obviously the guys on the bench and everything were freaking out. So ran into them, jumped up, and it was a good moment for sure.
Did you guys know going into the match that like we had the tiebreaker, like the tie and the dual meet tiebreaker? Did we know that? Did you guys know that going in?
I don't think so, but we didn't tie at the end.
Oh,
I think it was tied going into my
Yeah.
match. I'm pretty sure. I think it was like 16-16 or something.
Oh, gotcha. I thought that was the match where you guys where it was tied after. That was
No. That was next time we wrestled. That was 2
That was
years ago.
2019.
2
Yeah.
years ago at Navy, we won off the tiebreaker criteria.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
a bunch of good ones there. So, kind of moving past that, your plebe year, for coming in and starting as a plebe, is a great accomplishment, but you had like a, 50-50 record and then, ish, and, didn't perform super well nationally, but like, then you jumped kind of into the scene as a sophomore, had, a lot of success, even though maybe you weren't the starter at the end of the year, but you had a really good record. You beat some good guys. What do you attribute your jump to between your plebe and your yuck year?
Honestly, I'd say, you brought it up a little bit, but like that freshman year I was able to start, which was awesome. Like you said, it was a really tough year for me. Kind of transitioning from prep school, getting into like the big show with these, Division I starting heavyweights, starting every dual meet, things like that. So I was kind of thrown into the fire a little bit right out the gate, which I'm definitely grateful for. But I don't want to say I was handed the spot because I definitely feel like I earned it, but I don't think there was anyone pushing me probably as much as I needed to my freshman year. And so I think the biggest thing sophomore year was kind of like having that, being the guy, being the starter, having all that, and kind of moving into sophomore year, kind of getting that taken away from me, was looking back probably the best thing, honestly, that ever happened to me, because it kind of lit a fire in me and just made me want to, get it back, get the job back, and kind of spent the next few years trying to get it back. But I think just having guys to push you. Sophomore year, I had Ben Sullivan come in as a freshman, and he's a great wrestler, and he was able to win the job. So I was kind of, just battling hard with him for the next 3 years, and it made me a whole lot better. So I think that's where you saw the performance jump, was like I kind of had someone pushing me. I had someone I was chasing at the same time, and I was able to translate that into competition from the practice room, and start to beat some better guys, start to place at tournaments and do these things.
Ben Sullivan was greatness. You were chasing greatness.
That's right.
No, that's yeah, that's, I can't imagine, the battles you guys had, were epic. I remember Coach Ward telling like you guys had to wrestle also, some matches last year, and you guys went in overtime and nobody scored, and he just said, "Now it's over. The match is done." He's like, "There's no need to keep wrestling."
Yeah, we both stepped on the line. That happened once or twice. He's like, "You're done." I'm like getting ready to go into overtime. I look at him like, "What?" He's like, "Match is over." I'm like, all right. So yeah, we definitely, we got pretty close there towards the end, but something, I've talked to Ben about too, and looking back, like it was, like I said, probably the best thing that ever happened to me was having him come in and kind of take the spot from me. And if that never happened, who knows where I would be today? Who knows what kind of wrestler I would be, because I had him to push me. So I'm definitely grateful for it. I think it pushed me to kind of lead into my junior and senior year and start to see more progress and better wins and better records and things like that. So yeah.
Heavyweight's kind of one of those unique weight classes where not having someone like that is almost more, it almost can help or hurt more, because if you don't have someone that is big and strong and moves like Ben, it's hard to replicate that look in practice to go out and wrestle guys like that in matches. So that's why I'm saying now, like looking at the crop of Army heavyweights now, it's like pretty exciting to watch those guys, because they're just a bunch of big, strong meatheads that are clearly beating each other up all the time, being led by Coach Bobby Held now.
For sure. Yeah. Not to say it wasn't incredibly frustrating at times and definitely a battle, but when you look back, it's like I got to have a top 25, 20 guy every day in practice there to kind of propel me into competition. So it was definitely a good thing.
Did you guys wrestle every day in practice, or were you guys like those heavyweights that like to pretend that you move like an 84 pounder and try to like grab up a 84, 97 pounder in practice? Were you those kind of guys?
We didn't wrestle every day. We didn't wrestle every day. We wrestled because we had so many heavyweights, but I never did what you're talking about, I'd say, until now. Ever since I graduated is now when I like to, ever since I lost a little bit of weight, I like to grab the 97, 84 pounders and kind of beat up on them a little bit.
Yeah.
So kind of moving into, your first year, you get the bid, you make a run at, EIWA as your EIWA finalist, but your year's cut, early, and you miss NCAAs due to COVID. Kind of talk to us about that, the struggle with that, how you dealt with it, how your mom dealt with it. I'm sure she probably had a harder time than you did. But talk to us a little about your first year, kind of that whole experience.
Yeah. So, like you said, end up getting the job at the end of the year, which I was super, super grateful for. Something kind of that, like having those battles I was talking about earlier, kind of made me realize like just work till like I get my shot type of deal. And I knew whenever I did get the shot, like I was going to take advantage of it. So finally got the bid, and I was just so happy when I heard I was wrestling and got the opportunity. Went out at conference and we had a pretty good showing as a team, and I was able to get a couple good wins and then make the finals. And then, like you said, qualify me automatically for NCAA. So I was super pumped about that. Like finally feel like I got my chance, worked hard for it, and then, got COVID, as you said, and it was cut short there, but it was definitely a hard time for sure. It was, we were spending like weeks in quarantine before, like being careful, cautious, doing everything we could, kind of taking precautions. And it's just one of those things that like, you can't point a finger at anyone. You can't blame anyone. It's no one's fault. It just was like that was the worst thing about it. It's just like, it is what it is. You can't blame anyone for it. It just kind of happens. So I dealt with it, really just by the best part about Army wrestling, I'd say, is just like the brotherhood and the family that we have. I can't even tell you the calls and texts and emails and everything I got from my friends and family, the guys on the team, obviously, but like also people I never even met, former Army wrestlers, instructors, things like that. Just kind of shows like the community and the support here at West Point and in through Army wrestling. So that's kind of how I dealt with it. I was stuck in quarantine while they were wrestling NCAAs, which was really tough, hard to watch, but just kind of got through it and kind of try to set my mind towards the next thing, which was hard, but I knew, getting ready to graduate in a couple months and had to drop some weight. And so I kind of shifted my focus like towards wrestling to, I think when I was in quarantine, I was like running twice a day, which is probably not recommended, but going out and running and working out in the little gimpy quarantine gym they had there. But I kind of just tried to focus my energy into the next thing, and then also watch the guys compete at nationals and stay in touch with them, kind of just support them in any way I could. So
did that from that, are you considering competing at all again moving forward? I know we kind of joke around a little bit about Midlands 197, but what does the future hold with respect to your wrestling career? Are you completely done, or?
I think I'm completely done. Yeah. I dealt with, luckily nothing serious, but, some injuries throughout college, just like probably everyone does. So was a little banged up and braces and wrestling braces, all that stuff. So, I don't know if I'm going to use my eligibility elsewhere.
Yeah,
or go into any.
We'll get John Anderson to talk to you down the road.
Yeah.
After getting the Army a little bit, but
yeah, I wouldn't say you officially. I wouldn't announce your official retirement yet. When I was 23 years old, if you asked me, I would have said, "Hey, I'm done wrestling, never wrestling again."
And here you are, about to wrestle in Midlands.
Yeah, and here we are. May not be this year, maybe next year.
Oh my God.
I need to start looking at other open tournaments because I went when I went to East Stroudsburg. I was like, man, I should have competed this weekend.
You better not be going 65 at Midlands because you might draw Jesse Del Vecchio first round.
No, I ain't making 65. Dude, he's gonna be tough there. I'm excited.
He's got a good bracket too.
Yeah, he's gonna have Marinelli, Kennedy.
Yep.
Man, I remember the days.
He's a beast, though.
I remember when Brian Rowan and Jordan Tom were going to wrestle for donations to the program in Midlands 2022 or 2021.
Well, it was Midlands 2020, but then it got postponed. It got canceled last year.
Right.
I mean, if people want to throw down some donations to get me to wrestle, it's still open. But
I will donate.
Okay.
To get you to wrestle. Yeah, there's two right there.
You said it. You said it. I'll donate too. Here we go.
Right there.
We're gonna put it out there now. Now there's no going back.
One of you guys got to be in charge of it. Of getting it all. And we'll see where the donations are at. If you can, I don't want to put a dollar amount on it, but if you can
you have to. I think
an exceptional amount of money.
Exceptional.
That's not the right word, but edit that piece out of it.
Considerable amount of money.
Yes, a considerable amount of money.
Healthy amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans don't want me to compete. They don't. I mean, they don't want to see that. No one cares about.
Of course they do. Of course they
do.
They
want to see Coach Del Vecchia go in there and smack everybody up. As a coach, that's the good news story. There's nothing about me that anybody wants to see.
That's your.
I think you're selling yourself a little short, Bureau. Everyone wants to see you out there at Midlands. Yeah. Trust me.
I doubt that the 174 field does as much CrossFit as he got that over him.
Should we talk about today's WAD?
No.
No, but I feel like we're going to.
No, I'll spare the fans. After we get done recording, I'll tell you how the workout went today.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so we going to post wrestling with Bobby now?
Yeah. Let's talk about more current event stuff.
Yeah. So Bob, you're a AI. I know you said you're on the mat day to day with the guys. How's that experience going? And then what's kind of the timeline for you moving forward? Where are you going? Talk about what you branched and then kind of your future moving forward.
Yeah, so I am on the mat pretty much every day with the guys, like you said, going really good. Like I said earlier, you know, I'm working a lot with the heavyweights and the upper weights, grabbing some 97, 84 pounders every now and then, but mainly the heavyweights and getting those guys ready to go, which is definitely cool for me, you know, being on the other side, like just trying to kind of show these guys some things that I was able to have success with and things I really like to do in college and that helped me. So hopefully helping them out, trying to give back to the heavyweights a little bit, but I'm only here for another few weeks, less than a month. I'm going to head out, I think right after Army Navy football. So a little plug here. We're wrestling Rutgers night before Army Navy at the rack. So it's going to be awesome. Go to the duel. And the next day we'll go to the football game.
That is
so
awesome.
After that one, I'm going to be out processing and heading out. So take a little bit of time for Christmas and then head down to Fort Benning, branched infantry out of West Point. So I'm going to do IBOC, Ranger School, whatever else they got planned for me, whatever other fun stuff they got planned for me down there. Probably spend about a year there and then head out to Fort Riley, Kansas for my first assignment.
Awesome. And you guys, there's a bunch of you guys that are going to Riley, right? Did you guys do that?
We got a good crew going out to Riley right now.
You guys went back to the system where they hung up all the posts on the board and you went there and picked it off the board, right?
Yep. It was like draft style. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys could all see where each other were going and pick off that. Cause for me, we entered preferences and then whatever algorithm existed at the time, they just told you what you were posting.
Oh, really?
I didn't
know that. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
the draft style.
I thought that was like, that's how they did, you know, branching when I was there, but it was always, I mean, it was like old school and it was,
they changed it for us and then they went back to it. So, you know, I was excited to see that because I mean, exactly what the wrestlers did was they all went to the same post because you can pick all the same posts as your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just me and Will Lucy from the team in my class, but there's 2019. I think Connor Ziegler will still be out there. Shout out Zig.
You got Jeremiah.
And then you go 2020 and there's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah,
headed out there. No Hannah, no Stewart, Luke Weiland, Trey Shalfo. So we're gonna have a good crew out there for sure.
Set up like a whole rec wrestling league. So
absolutely, yeah. You said you asked if my wrestling days were over. I don't know anymore.
Just officially.
We're gonna
wrestling matches.
we're gonna build a lineup out of Fort Riley, I think.
So you only have, you know, you're leaving after Army Navy. What are you going on any other trips as an AI or as the OR? Are you going to Iowa State or?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to Iowa State. We're leaving Thursday. So I'll be there Thursday to Monday. Pretty sure we come back Monday. So we're wrestling Iowa State in a duel Saturday. And then Sunday we're having about 20 guys wrestling the Cyclone Open that they hold at Iowa State. So
how does it
go on that?
Does it work the same way? Like, so when I was in college, if a team competed like the day before, then everybody got a 1 pound allowance, like for the tournament. And everyone was like pumped because they were like the one team that wrestled the duel me the day before got everybody a pound and everybody was pumped. Is that still like the case of how it works?
Yeah. So Tyler and I don't really know what you're talking about. We don't care about any of that stuff as heavyweights, but
that's right.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that's correct. There will be a 1 pound allowance if 2 teams or one of the teams in the tournament wrestles the day before. So I'm sure the guys will be happy about that. I hope I didn't spoil it for them, ruin any surprises.
Are any other ORs going on the trip?
Colonel Gist.
Nice.
Yep. So he's going, and then I think we're off that next weekend, December 3rd, 4th. We're off that weekend, and then Rutgers, like I said, Rutgers and Army Navy. And that'll be my last trip as an AI. So
going out with a bang. It's a big weekend.
That's right.
Are you did you get tickets already for Army Navy?
Yep. Yeah, my family's coming, so Got a bunch of tickets. We're ready to go. I'm trying to put some feelers out though for an Army wrestling tailgate. Have you guys heard anything?
I have not for an Army wrestling specific one.
Are you guys going?
I'm going. Yeah, I'm going with Kevin scored like 8 tickets, so I'm in his little group.
Okay.
Scored. I don't know what I'm doing for tailgating yet though. I'm one of my classmates and good friends. He's got a place in New York City where he's doing like a rooftop tailgate breakfast in the morning from like 9 to 11, and then we're gonna like
Okay.
like a 10-minute Uber from where he's at in the city to there. So we'll probably get down there like before noon or so. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we need to figure out an Army Navy tailgate. If there's any listeners out there who know of a sweet tailgate that they'll just let us brand as BHAW, let us know. I thought about setting up a tailgate, but there's a lot of logistics involved, and I'm not prepared to do that. That kind of my first tailgate be a Army.
Yeah, you're probably too busy setting up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving. Right?
Hey,
It takes a lot of time to violate a principal American rule.
hey, I got a Christmas podcast that I got to worry about as well. So that's a good little plug, for all the listeners out there that like to hear this voice. I talk Christmas in a Christmas podcast with a high school friend of mine. So we've released one episode already. It was on our top Christmas movies. We're releasing an episode tomorrow on Thanksgiving and Christmas foods, talking food for about an hour and 9 minutes. So quick little plug on the Two Elves Off the Shelf podcast that I host. Well, we got a bunch of listener questions. So
All right, let's do it.
the listeners probably thought, oh wait, this seems like it's coming to an end. There's like 20 listener questions.
Oh boy.
Maybe not that much, but Coach Ward said most athletic at class in wrestling? The question marks. I don't know exactly what that means.
I think I know what he means. I don't understand what that was, but I think he's asking what's the most athletic weight class in college wrestling. It's been an ongoing debate between the coaching staff, because Coach Joe D'Angelo thinks that as it goes up in weights, they get more and more or less and less athletic. And 125 pounders are the most athletic always in the country, which I think is just completely false. So Coach Ward thinks it's a bell curve where the peak's at the middle, 157, which he wrestled, of course.
That's where most college men are at, in the middle.
Right. So I'm just going to go right out and say 285 is my vote. And we have 2 heavyweights here, so that's 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I think
majority
if any
rules.
wrestling team gets an ultimate football game or any sort of ball sport going, that debate solves itself really quickly, and it's a goes straight up to the heavier weights are absolutely the more athletic people on a wrestling team.
Yep. Just look at Gable Steveson. That's my argument. He's the most athletic guy I think that our country has to offer. And Joe D'Angelo had the nerve to say that he was more athletic than Gable Steveson. I'm throwing that out there right now.
That sounds like something outlandish I would say. Like,
I know.
Not like me personally, but like the quality of that outlandishness is on par. Speaking of Joe D'Angelo, what is the toughest weight class in college and why is it 125?
Yeah, see, there we go.
Yeah, we're not even.
I'm not surprised. Yep.
He has a second follow-up question. Is your body a temple?
Yes. Short answer, yes. He knows that. He knows better than to even ask.
Follow-up question on that same question. Does drive-through hibachi sound like a healthy meal?
No, it doesn't sound healthy. I've never had it. I've never even heard of it.
I thought there was going to be a backstory to that.
Sounds pretty healthy to me.
I might have gotten it one time, but I was out of line.
So Christian Hunt asks, no one has ever seen Bob's girlfriend. Is she real?
Another ongoing joke that I'm pretending to have a girlfriend, and I just tell everyone that she goes to a different school. She is real.
Sycamore.
She is real. Her name is Rachel. And she's the best. So shout out Rachel Zach. You can follow her on Instagram too to prove that she's real. Christian. Thanks for the question, Christian.
Do you manage that Instagram account too?
You should have her on the show next. That's your next guest.
Have you guys? I mean, you guys would both have to be on the show at the same time. That way we know that it's two separate people.
Right.
Coach Shuck coming and respond on here.
Shuck.
What's the best way to finish a single leg, and how about a high crotch?
He said, this is a softball question. It's a softball right down the middle. Run the pipe. Run the pipe is the way to finish every single shot. And I learned that from him himself, the man himself. So shout out Coach Shuck.
This, I won't say who this is from. How has your life changed since you met Coach Green?
Yeah, I have no idea who that one's from. My life has only changed for the better since I met Coach Green. He's an absolute pro, to put it in his own words. And he also introduced me to Wegmans. So I have him to thank for that. Other than the fact that he's a Bills fan, which he's pretty flawed for that. Other than that, there's no flaws with him. He's a pro, great guy, great coach.
That's what we've been hearing across the board. Kevin Liebert's asked, this was a little bit serious one, not serious, but this is a thoughtful one. Now that you're coaching, do you find that wrestling Ben Sullivan and the other heavyweights, it's a little more open now that you're not competing for the same spot?
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's probably a problem that a lot of people have in the room is, they treat practice like competition, which is definitely not the right way to look at it. I'm just as guilty as anyone, probably, especially in my first couple of years, until I decided to, just open up and try and score points. You kind of get caught in this mentality that you just want to win every go and win practice. And that just leads to you kind of holding back and not taking shots and taking chances. And as a result, not really growing. So I definitely had some of that as a wrestler with Ben and all the other heavyweights. So now, as you can imagine, it's completely, I don't have that at all anymore. Just open up. I'm trying to hit every wrestling move in the book, and it's a lot of fun, except when I get stuck underneath and I'm 30 pounds lighter now. That's not as fun, but everything else is, when I grab the 97 pounders, it's going well.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. Well, you probably don't have to worry about that much. Wrestling all the 84, 74 pounders.
I conveniently slip over to the 84, 97 pounders when we decide to go live. So
yeah.
What are you weighing right now? Like 220?
230 ish. Yeah.
So last listener question from Sam Ruda Sr. Do you miss Jax?
I do miss Jax. Jax is my roommate for almost the entirety of West Point. Baseball player, great guy. Like I said, baseball player, and his dad also was a great baseball player, and so was his grandfather. So they kind of got it in the blood. Jax was a great guy. He was an okay roommate. He knows that. But yeah, I miss him and his family for sure. He's doing good things down at Fort Sill.
Nice. Well, those are all listener questions we had. Tyler,
none of the ones I got were appropriate to put on the show, so maybe I'll just hit you up after.
We'll talk offline about those other questions.
So before you leave, though, we got to make sure we got to get the listener or who you're interested in hearing on the show. So let's hear 3 recommendations. It doesn't have to be like your class or around this age. It could be anybody older, younger.
Okay.
Anything.
I think I got a pretty good mix. First one, I think I've heard him mentioned a couple times now, is Colonel Cook. I think he's a must-have on the show, especially after traveling with him to Journeymen and playing Monopoly with him in the front of the bus.
He went viral after Journeyman.
Yeah, he did. NCAA wrestling. So I think you got to have him.
He's the only one, when you watch the streams from like some of the tournaments where not every match hasn't announced, he's the only one you can hear yelling, "Fight! BJ, fight!"
Yeah. That would be an
Pretty funny.
incredible episode, full of energy.
Flashback.
So
So he was doing that 5 years ago.
yeah, he hasn't lost a touch. So Colonel Cook will be my first one. Second one, Gavin Berkeley. Good friend of mine, just an awesome dude. He was one of my main workout partners for a couple of years while he was on the team with me. So he's also hysterical. So I just think he'd be great to have on the show. And then Andrew Mendel was kind of a curveball I thought of. He was a team captain my plebe year, a guy I really looked up to a lot, and he's got a pretty cool story too, transferring into West Point from Ohio State. So I think he'd be a cool guy to have on the show. Also, I just kind of want to like hear what he's up to in life, because he's a guy I don't know if I'll ever hear from again. I just see on Facebook that his wife posted he's had like 2 kids. So I'd like to see what Andrew Mendel's up to these days.
He's a good dude.
He was good dude, good wrestler, really, really tough wrestler. So
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with when you lose track of friends, and like everybody gets busy. And I try to make a habit to, like, when I just if I'm just thinking about somebody through the day, I randomly think of someone I hadn't talked to in a while. I just text them and say, "Yo, I was just thinking about you." Boom, and then firing it off. That way you keep in touch with everybody a little bit more. It means a lot too when you get you get little texts like that, to help keep in touch. And sometimes it can be a little bit awkward if you haven't talked to somebody that you were like really good friends with, and then you lost touch, and you're like,
yeah,
trying to text him at 3 a.m. like, "Hey man, I was just thinking about you." Is that what you're getting? Am I off? Maybe I'm off.
Maybe a little bit.
I think you're on. Hey, I had one more too that I just thought of. I think, I don't know, what is this, 60 something episode, 64, creeping up on 100 episodes here. I think we should Step Brothers style. What if we interview you? You get a B-row episode, have a couple guys interview you, your story, get the origin of BHAW radio. And I think that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, I think that's a great idea.
We can hear we can hear all about Midlands and CrossFit and the cat and everything. I think it'd be good.
I appreciate that. Well, that's a good place to end right there. Appreciate you coming on the show, Tyler. I think we're gonna have to have you back as a co-host, because that was you were just bringing the heat. Great questions, very thorough.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Pleasure.
Any parting words before we head out?
No, Bob, it's good to see you again, man. I'm excited for you to come down to Fort Benning. You got my number, man. Hit me up when you get down here.
Yeah, definitely. Will do. Appreciate it, guys. That's all I got. Thanks for having me on. BHAW.
BHAW.
Go Army.
Be Navy, beat everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW radio show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.